Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live stream today. It's April 3rd. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Toby.
And this is a special edition of Crypto Tips where we go live about once or twice a week to cover the macro events of the global economy and everything that we're seeing unfold during this coronavirus, during the much bigger economic repercussions that we're seeing being triggered. Anyway, so we're always coming to you live with a bunch of news, and today is no different. So, Toby, let's get into it.
All right. So I want to get over to this first part of news before we start anything. I'm not really going to go over the numbers too much, but as it's stating right here, the unemployment rate soars most in 45 years as U.S. slides into depression. So that's a big word, depression. And I'm glad that they're finally saying it's not a recession, because I've heard people saying constantly, oh, this is a recession. We're going into a recession. They didn't understand what was happening, with these job losses, and which we're going to go into the next one. So. U.S. labor market is in free fall. 10 million Americans had filed for unemployment in the last 2 weeks. So we're going to go over to the next one, which says U.S. weekly jobless claims double to 6.6 million. Now, that's a huge number, all right? So I think in the GFC, the unemployment claims were around 6.6 million at that time. Okay. This is in 2 weeks, 6.6 million. This is crazy. These are numbers that, even the craziest conspiracy guy, doomsday scenario person could have never dreamed of within 2 weeks, and this is just people that can get through. Like I've said before, over and over again, I'm telling people, hey, this is nothing. This is going to grow exponentially because people, can't get through to their unemployment office. This is just absolutely crazy.
And for those who might not be able to wrap their head around what this number means, here's a helpful GIF that we found.
This is going back in the 1960s.
Hold on. Here, you can kind of see it.
So look at that spike. This is in 2 weeks. This number is absolutely crazy. So, yeah. 6.6 million unemployed.
And you're comparing it to the great financial crisis of 2008. What was the time frame of that compared to this?
This is 2 weeks.
Compared to
was a year and a half. Yeah. So this is just absolutely crazy. So
for those of you just joining us, hi, welcome to the live stream. My name's Heidi. This is Toby.
Yep.
If you're tuning in, if you're here in the live chat, go ahead and say hi. And also, if you have some things you might want to talk about, go ahead and leave those questions and comments in the chat group, and then we'll try and get to those at the end. But today we're talking about how everything is going. And yeah, so if you guys are finding these videos to be informative, definitely appreciate it if you leave a like, if you share it out right now so more people can take part and watch live and be in the live chat. So we've been getting a lot of positive feedback from doing these live channels, live good. Broadcasts. Yeah. So that's why we're still doing it. So I'm happy to be here to keep you guys informed. So moving on.
Okay, so Fed balance sheet. Like I said, the Fed is going to be buying up everything, in full industries, just everything. And it's gone up 1.6 trillion in 3 weeks. It's hit $6 trillion, crazy. This is just, more proof that they're literally buying everything up.
It's kind of crazy too. You can see the balancing happening of the unemployment, and then their balance sheets are trying to keep it balanced. But
Yeah,
that's
no,
wild.
not going to happen. They're going to be printing a lot more. And this is just the beginning. This is not going to stop. They're loving it. The Fed is loving this time. They are using this time to literally just buy up the entire world. And while everybody is kind of distracted by a virus, they have no idea what is happening behind the scenes. Like I don't see this, like people like up in arms about this, that the Fed is literally going to be nationalizing everything. I mean, the Fed is 6 banks pretty much, and it's privatized. So do you call it nationalization, or do you call it, I don't know. I don't know what you call this. This is crazy. So
someone had a comment or had a question here. Sorry, let me find it. DD, how long do you think emerging economies will last until their currencies become worthless? We've been touching that a lot, especially on previous posts talking about their circumstances of debt and trying to acquire USDs.
That's actually, okay, well, I'll get into that.
Okay.
So here's a really good thing that Raoul Paul wrote, and I have it written down here. I don't have it right here, but I'll read the whole thing. So a dollar standard crisis, less available dollars in a world of massive dollar shortages, drives up the dollar, creating a dollar shortage, both home and abroad. Money printing does not make the dollars available.
It should be currency printing.
Sure, that should be.
Yeah.
Mike would be proud of us.
Yeah.
They get stuck in the financial system and hoarded. Okay, money for the banks, not for the debtors. The domestic shortage of dollars means that money gets hoarded while defaults rise, and the shortage abroad means that $13 trillion of debt scrambles for the available dollars as world growth slows and banks are less free with capital. Don't forget the $13 trillion position, foreign dollar debt held mainly by corporations and investment vehicles, is the largest position ever taken in the history of global financial markets. Okay, it can only mean a massive uncontrolled dollar rally. QE will not fix this. Swap lines will not fix this. A debt jubilee would not fix this, or multiple trillions of dollars in write-downs and defaults. It is the dollar strength that brings to world just in like 1930s. It's the dollar system that is the really big problem. The dollar has eaten all of its competitors, and now it's going to eat itself. This eventually breaks the dollar after a super spike as global central banks are forced to find alternatives. They are already working on a digital currency for exactly that. Sorry, I couldn't read the really tiny writings here, but so that's what Raoul Paul says. He knows more about this debt super cycle than pretty much anybody I've ever seen. And it makes pretty much perfect sense, because what we saw is, I think, an executive from Coinbase actually going to work for either the Treasury or the Fed. And so that means they are probably going to try to rush through a digital currency. And whether or not each country will actually have its own certain separate digital currency, well, that's to remain to be seen. But who knows?
Also regarding like a timeline of something like that happening.
Yeah.
Later on, we're going to talk about a podcast that I had recommended in the video that I posted yesterday. I still recommend it. It's definitely has like a different perspective, different things being considered, but he definitely Peter Zihan or Zihan, I'm probably mispronouncing his last name, but he's like a world-renowned geopoliticist, politics studying guy. Yeah. And so he talks about how the coronavirus is pretty much fast forwarding all of these events that would have happened in the next like 5 to 10 years. And he said every quarter that the coronavirus is, active and everyone is quarantined, it speeds up this process by like 1 to 5 years or something like this. So we'll be touching on that later, but definitely recommend that to you guys. It's like an hour-long podcast. And he also wrote a book, so I'm guessing that the book is much more in-depth on that. But so, okay, back to what we're talking about here.
Well, let me go over what, I have all these pictures that I've taken throughout the week. Yeah, screenshots on the phone. So Gregory Manarino says, I just heard from a friend who works at the largest bank on the planet by assets. So you know what the bank this is, what, without naming it. Okay. They are getting overwhelmed with people who, number one, cannot afford to pay their mortgages. Number two, cannot pay credit card debt. 3, cannot pay their car loans. 4, cannot pay personal loans taken out for other purposes. 5, cannot pay businesses, expenses, debt. So, like I said, this is just the longer that this lockdown continues, exponentially every day it's going to be worse and worse and worse. So I guess it's like we have to choose our poison. Do we open up economies right now and just hopefully that they'll give them a breath of fresh air, or do you lock it down and keep people from getting
an option? Take their own risks.
Wear a mask.
Be cautionary, but still have the ability to help a business out by giving them, by purchasing from them. So
giving them a chance to live, because...
And if a business doesn't want to be open, they can stay. If they can afford to stay closed, they can stay closed, and then, take that risk out altogether. But if they need to be open and they're willing to take that risk, then I think they should have the right or
absolutely
the ability to be open.
Absolutely, because I think that there's going to be more people dying. I've said this over and over and over again. I think there's going to be more people dying because of this global collapse than this virus could ever kill. Mm-hmm. Ever kill. No way. No way.
Yeah. And it's a lot of people are saying because of the coronavirus. Not really. It's because of the governmental response to the coronavirus that, these things are being exponentially more dramatic or sped up.
Yep.
So, all right.
If say for instance you wanted to go out and buy a book, well, that's not an essential. But hey, okay, so you want to buy a book? Well, wear a mask, and maybe they can wear a mask as well. Keep their business open. Have people walking around still. Wear goggles or whatever it takes.
You talked about that.
At
the height of our paranoia, we were talking about wearing goggles when going out in public.
Hey, is this as bad as it seems? And then.
A lot of people here are asking if we practice social distancing, which is true. We do. We have. It's just been. Just been you and I for about 2 weeks.
This isn't completely by choice as well. A lot of our friends are freaked out, and they're very much like, really, oh my gosh, we're gonna die.
It's really interesting to see the social enforcement of these as well. So
it definitely is social enforcement, and
that's interesting.
It's kind of scary.
But I wear a mask everywhere whenever I go out to the grocery store when we need to, once a week maybe.
And in our town, there's 0 cases, even though people are walking around, going to town.
But still,
getting groceries or whatever, there's 0 cases.
I wear a mask. I have my hand sanitizer because I don't want to be unknowingly infecting other people. But
anyways,
I have to check myself and be like, okay, it's not a huge thing here. And why am I I'm all of a sudden very aware of everything I'm touching. But anyway.
Yeah. So let's get on to the next one. All right. Coronavirus shock is pushing global growth towards 0, S&P. So we don't need the S&P to tell us that because the entire world's pretty much shut down. So, this is just going to add to more people that are, unemployed. Okay, so GE Aviation lays off 50% of engine manufacturing staff.
Another example
of what's going to happen to gigantic companies. And this is another example of why the stock market is completely fake.
Yeah.
Completely fake. I mean, come on. We got the worst data ever. The same day the stock market was positive. What? It's just fake. It just has nothing to do with reality. That stock market should be at 5,000 or below right now, and it's not. It's all a joke. So it's all fake, and it's all to pretend like your economy is okay. It's fine. Bullcrap. Okay. Here comes the next crisis. Okay, so what we discussed was, people losing their jobs because of the frozen economy. Now you're going to get probably up to 30% of all mortgages will default in the biggest wave of delinquencies in history. And this is why I've been telling my friends, like, hey, get out of your debt, like of your house. If you were thinking of buying a house, or you're in the middle of a mortgage right now, or middle of escrow right now, like pull out. We're telling all our friends, pull out of a mortgage. And
just wait until it dips.
Yeah. or like get into some dollars, which we've discussed before with what Raul had posted. I think that's going to be a great buy right now. And, that along with Bitcoin, along with gold and silver. I think those four are an incredible play right now. So, yeah. Okay. So now we're talking about oil. So now yesterday, oil jumped about 25%, 27% at its highest, I think. But, Trump is super happy about it. All these leaders are super happy about it. They're not leaders, they're puppets, but central banks are incredibly happy about this. Why? Because it doesn't benefit you unless you're invested in these energy stocks. Unless you're in the energy sector, even then you're going to get, you have a high probability of getting laid off because the whole world's shut down. Why is oil like going to the roof? That doesn't make any sense at all. And it just shows that your leaders are they hate you. They can't stand you. You're worthless to them. And this is proof. How is that going to help you when you don't have a job and energy costs are higher? When you're spending more to fuel up, when you're spending more on anything, like, give me a break. These guys are scum. So move on. These guys frustrate me. And this is before the jump. Western Canada Select $53 a barrel a year ago. Now it's $4 a day. I think it's a bit up today, but just another, like that will help farmers, that will help miners, that will help a lot of businesses to go through their daily lives, like a dropping amount of or prices of oil. So here's who stands to lose the most. Okay, so the United States is the highest, or produces the most oil per day, $80 million a barrel, or 80 million a day. Saudis are right behind it, or way behind it, 15 million. So, these are the people that really want the price of oil to rise again. And they're going to try whatever it takes to get the price of oil up. They will do whatever it takes. They will use their militaries, not your military, but their military, to go ahead and do whatever it takes to raise the price of oil. That's why we call it a petrodollar. Okay, this is like, you may think that some people that are, fighting for your country are really fighting for your freedoms, but in reality, they are fighting for oil, for the petrodollar. They will do whatever it takes. That's why you had, 15 out of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, but where did the U.S. attack? Iraq, for oil. So, anyways, next.
Cut that rant off before it goes on all day.
I don't want to discuss that. Okay. Remy Titot says, when the virus spread is controlled, it will be time to hold people, i.e. governments, responsible, accountable for their mistake. They are all going to claim victory over it, and that's true. Let's not be naive. They effed up really badly. So, they will spin whatever they do to their favor so that you will trust them. But I think more and more people are waking up and understanding what's really going on in the world. And that is a really good thing that's happening. So, okay. Let's go over to, so when people lose their jobs, what happens? They lose their health benefits, most likely.
Or their ability to even pay for insurance if it was independent.
Yeah. And then, if they get the coronavirus, their medical bills could be $75,000. Like, how are they going to pay for that? I mean, it just...
even more enslaved into the system. This
is what you get when you have a completely bought out medical system that they just don't care about their citizens. All right. Going back to the stock market, somebody asked me about the stock market, so I found somebody that,
talked about it.
Yeah. This guy says, Jeffrey Gundlach says, the coronavirus sell-off will worsen again in April, taking out the March lows. Now, I don't know whether or not he's correct or not. Who knows? It's kind of a guess because central banks literally have unlimited, or the Fed has pretty much unlimited printing power, and they just said they were going to go in QE infinity, right? So, who knows? Are they going to buy up stocks to infinity? I don't know. Possibly. And if they do, that means they've completely nationalized everything. They've bought up everything because nobody in their right mind is buying stocks right now when we're in a depression. Like, nobody. And if you are, then so be it. But the majority of buying right now is the Fed. It's the Fed. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Next.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anybody interested in gold and silver? Okay. So right now, a lot of people, a lot of gold is stranded around the world. They cannot get to where they need to go to, relieve supply issues. So this is one really big thing where, central banks such as, banks such as JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, whatever, they're manipulating the price of silver and gold. I've gone over this over and over and over again. So that's why you see the physical price way higher than the actual paper price of gold. So the paper price of gold right now is, I think it's like 15 something, whereas you cannot buy a physical ounce of gold for under, I think, like $2,000 now or $1,800 now. So yeah, it's that's a huge price gap. That's huge. So, and if you go on like eBay or something, you'll find even more. And then if you go over to like AppMex or whatever, most of their stuff is sold out. There's like complete supply chain craziness going on. Okay, so let me just read over this. Gold supply, or the global gold market has been thrown into upheaval by the coronavirus outbreak. Not really coronavirus outbreak, but you get it. Logistics are becoming increasingly difficult, and some leading refineries have been forced to close at a time when demand for gold is surging. A key South African refinery said Thursday that it had to stop shipping to London. Okay, so I mean, this just keeps going on. Like, this is like the perfect storm for gold and silver, I think. I think especially after this liquidity crisis ends, once the US dollar once the global deleveraging has kind of eased off a little bit, you're going to see prices in gold and silver and Bitcoin like you've never seen before. That is the time to deploy dollars, your dollars that you've held on, and then put it into gold, silver, and Bitcoin. My gosh, that's like, I mean, what else are you going to buy? Literally, what else are you going to buy? That's the only thing that I can think of that can truly protect you from out of control money printing, and that can save your butt in the future, especially like when countries start blocking their borders. Like, for instance, like I've traveled with, 1964 nickels and quarters or dimes and quarters. And that's, if you don't know, I think it's like 97% silver. This is before they got rid of silver in their dimes and quarters. And if you don't, here's one little cool little tidbit. So if you have a quarter or a dime, you see those little grooves on the edges. That's actually, it was made for people so that they didn't shave off the silver off of the coins. And so they kept it on there now that even though the metal is completely worthless, well, almost worthless, it's actually worth more than the actual coin itself. But that's kind of like, the government knew the value of silver back then, and so did other people. So, yeah.
Speaking of the price of silver.
Oh, yeah. So all you have to do is do a little DuckDuckGo search and put silver manipulation JP Morgan. And that's just JP Morgan. That's not Wells Fargo or any of the other big banks. I've showed this before, but I'm going to keep showing this over and over and over again so people realize, hey, there's something really big going on with real money. So I know I say like dollars and whatever, that's money. It's not money. It's actually currency. Okay, so that's why
Those of you who watch Mike Maloney enough, you are
he's
drilled
educated
in the head about that difference, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, look at this. Okay, so JP Morgan sitting almost 700 million ounces. Silver manipulation. Let's see. JP Morgan trader charged with market manipulation. That was actually for gold, I think. So JP Morgan, HSBC sued for silver manipulation. Blah, blah, blah. It just keeps going on and on and on. I'm not going to keep going down the way because it's just endless. So, okay. So this is, people have been talking about the election or whatever, and we just had April Fool's Day. So I thought this was very,
timely.
Yeah, very timely. So just realize that, election day, vote with your money, vote with your time, and vote with your energy. I'm not going to get into politics here, but
because if you're placing a vote, you're pretty much just confirming that you bought their story, and you're participating in their charade.
Yeah,
Really. So now, Curtis, I saw in the comments, Curtis, he said hi from the Philippines. I'm really curious to know your thoughts on this news, which is so dramatic and scary. The Philippine president orders police and military to kill citizens who defy coronavirus lockdown. So last time we went live, we talked about Hungary and how they were saying, it's 3 years in prison if you if it's fake news, right? About, or you spread misinformation about coronavirus.
5 years. Yep.
And then 8 years if you break your quarantine. So if you're confirmed a case and then you're going out and talking to other people and giving kisses and stuff. But the Philippine president just upped that by saying, shoot them dead. That is wild. And I'm really curious to see how the citizens are reacting to that news. So if you're in the Philippines, if you know someone who is there, definitely, maybe if you're watching this, I'd love to know what's happening there. Get a real talk, because I don't really trust what's being reported. I'd rather get a firsthand account. So let's see. Do you have anything to say more about that?
I think this is just the beginning of people, governments can get away with murder literally now, because people have gone crazy and people will accept that. So fear does a lot of weird things to people. And
so I'm just reading this. It says people were protesting because of a lack of supplies. They hadn't received any food packs since the lockdown started 2 weeks ago. And of course, the government refutes those claims and clashed with protesters, ultimately arresting 20 people who refused to return home. So trying their best to keep control and threatening them with death. Yeah. Because death is better than spreading the coronavirus. That's their logic?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, fear is scary.
Just nuts.
Fear is scary.
And the next one is as well. So, California city to use this is off American Military News. California city to use Chinese night vision drones banned by the U.S. Army to enforce corona lockdown.
Even the U.S. Army won't use it.
Well, what this is going to be is this is going to be the new normal. So you always hear people saying, okay, this is going to be the new normal. Things aren't going to be the same. Well, you're right. They're definitely not going to be the same. And there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be very scary that are going to be the new normal now. I mean, governments, if you give them a little bit of wiggle room, oh man, they'll take it all.
Yeah.
And they'll never give it back because, like I've said over and over and over and again, a temporary government measure.
There's never something more permanent.
There's nothing more permanent than a temporary government measure.
Yeah.
And that is.
Can you imagine that's
so true?
The new normal now is just assuming there's always going to be a drone buzzing ahead, like nearby, like no more privacy,
Yeah.
And to go, like for us who travel a lot, we would probably be searching. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen in Portugal anytime soon. One of the reasons we love Portugal is that small government.
It's small government.
Especially
it's a disorganized government, and I like that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? You go where you're treated best. That guy, Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist, always said, go where you are treated best. And Heidi and I saw this happening. We saw what was going to happen about 5 years ago, and we decided to take.
Sorry.
Okay, we decided to take action and to move, and that was one of the best decisions of our lives.
Yeah.
So
that's been actually like the huge shift in my life has been taking action instead of just thinking about it. Like what better way to get results?
Exactly. So. Yeah.
I read a funny comment, Monkey Magic. I don't know. Duterte is, that's not how you say his name, is always coming out with things like that. He's a pussycat, really. He just watched Dirty Harry a few times too many. Let's hope it's all words, no actions. That would be truly tragic if that started unraveling in the Philippines. But can you imagine like going around and being surprised when there's not a drone in your face, other than surfing? That's the only time you're okay with having a drone near you. It's for surfing.
Yeah,
really.
We are actually so used to drones over here because they're filming us surfing. Yeah. But other than that, like government drones, I don't think there's going to be. How
creepy! Because you don't know who's on the other side of it.
I don't think there's going to be too many here, but in major cities, for sure. Like especially in the U.S., Canada, Australia,
the
UK, France. Yeah. Get used to it.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Oh, so this one is something I found doing some research, talking about how they were able to track cell phones during spring break on one particular Fort Lauderdale beach and how that has spread globally. And pretty much, tying this into the coronavirus and how this shows the potential spread of the coronavirus and probably trying to reinforce quarantine storyline. But it's, if anything, it should bring so much more awareness to you of how much information your phone is pumping out to these Wi-Fi networks, and that's pretty much publicly, public domain. So if you're not very aware of this, or really other kind of ways that your privacy is being breached without you're just kind of, I think a lot of people automatically assume that, nothing's being shared and it's not being publicly available, but you'd be surprised how much information is being collected about you when you go and you use your cell phone on a public Wi-Fi, if you go to a mall, or if you're pretty much wherever you're going, your phone is sending out little feelers out. And if you'd like to learn more, I had a great interview with Naomi Brockwell, who was really in depth talking about all the ways, that you can and should be securing your privacy online, specifically with the devices that you use to connect to the online world. So you can find that on my channel. I'll be linking it. I'll give you guys a link for it right here, actually. Oops. Oh no, I just Crap. I just pasted it. I'll look in there. Anyway, I'll be posting a link to this in the comments when I can, if you guys are interested. So let's talk about how the crypto space is comparing to what we're seeing.
Kicking butt. Like, I mean, I saw so many people yesterday saying, "Oh, it's gonna go to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 maybe." I'm like, and they were all going short. You were saying, and I'm like, really? People are going short right here, and boom, exploded. I think the market cap rose about 15 billion within like hardly any time at all. So yeah, just crazy. Like, I don't understand why people are so freaking bearish on Bitcoin. It's just unbelievable. Like, I don't understand why people short it, because like it's unlike your old school market. It's not like it's really difficult to actually know whether or not charts work on this new platform that was born 10 years ago, So like, you're using old school methods to your brand new technology kind of stock market, essentially. I mean, I remember getting on to, gosh, it was like BTC-E and all these other random like crypto exchanges when I was just starting. Oh my gosh, I lost my butt in Cryptsy because they went down.
Were learned.
But like, hey, it's just like, wow, you could sign up just within 4 seconds, literally, and just start trading right away. You had no KYC, no nothing. And I'm just like, wow, this is so new. I'm like, why would I bother with this old garbage, like crap freaking E-Trade when I have to go to these stupid companies that, wow, I made like, 4% a year. Woohoo. Whatever, barely keeps up with inflation, where I'm looking at these, like this brand new market with hardly any liquidity. And I'm like, well, man, if one of these goes up, you did pretty good. So yeah, so this is a brand spanking new market. You don't know what's going to happen.
New technology, new ideas being tested, new formats for how things can work on so many different areas of life. And economies.
Not only that, but like, I remember having to when I was trying to get rid of all my stocks because I was just sick of them, and I was trying to go from I was opening an account from E-Trade to like Schwab or TD Ameritrade or something like that. It was the biggest pain in the butt to do. Like this, you just fling it over to an account you just made, and you don't have to talk to anybody. I mean, hey, why not? Like, if you think millennials aren't going to jump on this, well, you got another thing coming. Like, this is it. This is the new frontier of finance. That old garbage stuff, nobody's going to deal with it. Nobody's going to want it. Nobody's going to trust it after this as well. And just wait till Bitcoin takes off. And yes, it's going to take off, and it's going to take off in a huge way. And that's going to suck in a lot more people as well. And who knows how high it's going to go. I don't make price predictions because, I mean, that's everybody in the entire crypto space that has made a price prediction has been wrong. Every single person. So yeah, that's just that. So yeah, I love this space, and there's nothing more exciting than this space for sure.
Yeah. So on a slightly more positive note regarding the coronavirus and how it's slowing down things, the dark web is slowing down as well. A lot less people are selling their Bitcoin for things like drugs. So, and also, interestingly enough, this article says that the Mexican cartels are finding it harder to source fentanyl from China. So they can't make the drugs and people can't buy them. So hey, it's a healthcare initiative that we never knew existed.
Yeah.
But definitely a positive, and also positives happening coming out of quarantine, whether you agree with it or not. We're all stuck here. I was actually talking to my brother about this recently. I think it's great is So many people for so long have had those excuses of, oh, they're too busy to, improve their lives one way or another, try to research new healthy ways to cook food or, do like at-home workouts. They're always, they're at work all day. They're exhausted when they come home. They have to take their kids to daycare or to sporting events or whatever. Life just gets in the way. And now we're living possibly months at a time in this quarantine state where you get to spend some time with your loved ones, have some deep conversations, hopefully, deepen your relationships with your family. Learn how to cook from home. I'm learning how to make sourdough bread. Yesterday, I screwed up my starter. I've been using the oven to keep it. It's kind of chilly here still, so it says keep your starter at 80 degrees. So I put it in the oven at a low temperature for 10 minutes. I turn it off.
So
Except yesterday, I forgot to turn it off, and so I'm like, "Who's making toast?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's my starter." It's totally. It was my day 5 of the starter, so today's day 1, starting all over again. But. Yeah. And we're going on walks when we can, just the 2 of us, not interacting with anyone, keeping our distance from people. I hate the phrase social distancing. It's so stupid. But we're finding these little nooks and crannies of paths and trails that we never knew existed that are gorgeous. And the same for you. You can, if you can go out for a walk, definitely encourage you to get some fresh air.
And definitely sunshine. Learn more about what we were talking about.
And absolutely, for those who say, oh, I don't have time to learn about crypto or the economy, it's all over my head. You officially have time. You have all the time in the world. The internet is not shut down. The information is still flowing. We're coming to you live every so often.
A lot of people are actually starting new websites as well. Like my friend's a web developer. And he's saying, man, there's so many people that are wanting my business right now. I can't do all this work. And I'm just like, well, that's awesome. I think the online business is going to kick butt, and if you for instance, you can learn all this stuff as well. It's just I've been studying this for 20 years. I get it. But I'm not that special of I'm not that special of intelligence. I barely passed my college. I got a D in economics because it bored me to crap. Because the way schools are set up, they teach you oh, this is how to be a good employee. This is how to write a good resume. And I went to this college called Point Loma Nazarene University, and I really thought it was going to be a good education. And man, just a bunch of garbage. Sorry if you went there and you enjoyed your time, but I'll throw some punches here. That sucked. That was a lot of money to put into something that I learned absolutely nothing about economics with.
And there's so many people who come out of college, not only with that experience of still, unless you're a doctor or an engineer or something very specific for that, most people are going to come away from their college experience still kind of confused, probably not very inspired, understanding that there's a flood of people graduating with that very same degree. They're not very differentiated, and a crippling amount of debt, $50,000 at least, coming away from that. So value your time, try to be inspired, wake up every day saying, what am I going to learn today? Come on.
Yeah. And this guy says, Toby seems to be very biased and doom and gloom. Like anything in the past, this will pass.
That's very
true.
And
it will.
Yeah.
And it will. I'm not trying to just scare everybody, because we are actually...
It doesn't mean you can't pay attention to what's happening.
Well, just stating this, if I said, hey, there's going to be a huge depression, you're going to be screwed. That's different than saying, okay, there is a depression, which we've been talking about for a while now. And now it's finally come out. But if you've been following us, you know what to do. It's fine. It's fine for you, So, and the reason why I want to help people out maybe it may sound extreme or whatever, is so that you can go out and help your friends and family, because you've been educated enough to make informed decisions and go out there and help people out. Because that's what life is all about. It's not about making yourself rich and buying your Lambo and like, oh wow, this is cool. Look at me. Like, I'm super cool. I ride a Lambo. Like, come on. That's so stupid. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean anything. As long as you're helping people out, that's what counts. So if you're not helping people out, this isn't for you, you know? Like, I want to help people out. This is why I decided to get on this show and go, hey, I really want to inform people, because most people actually don't want to hear doom and gloom, but they do want to hear like what they can do, you know, especially with like Heidi's been around for forever, you know, on this. And
gee, thanks.
Well, yeah, but like she's been brilliant, and
I'm
she's
100 years old.
Hey, she's put her money into good places, and she's able to do very amazing things with that money. And man, that is amazing. Like, she is just a shining example of what to do. So with that said,
so before we wrap it up today, I do want to give a quick shout out to those who have joined my Patreon page. Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. I will be putting out the announcement today, right after this live stream, of when I will be hosting that free live class. It's going to be held on Zoom. So for those of you who are part of the CT Club, that link will be available for you guys. So I'm going to put the feelers out today, and, you know, whoever wants to participate, great. It's going to be free. And we'll figure out a time and day that works best for everyone. So hopefully that will be going shortly. I have the information ready and waiting for you guys, so I'm just going to organize it for you guys now. So again, if you're interested in that, you can go to, and if you just want to find a way to support this channel in any way, there's like the dollar tip jar or the CT Club, which is $7 a month. There, you can go to patreon.com/cryptotips, or just go to Patreon and search Crypto Tips. I'm the only one there, so you can just click on that one.
Oh, somebody wanted to know about my thoughts on the gold and silver.
Oh yeah, I was wondering about, like, because
there's
physical gold and silver. Well, my brother. There's paper, and then there's also like the stocks representing the mining companies. So what are your thoughts on like mining companies and their stock prices?
I mean, right now these are totally different times as well. Like, I mean, from 2011, I remember when silver hit like $50. And so with that said, right now we have oil, the lowest it's been in forever, and that's really good for miners. But are miners allowed to work? That's the thing. Like, they're not working right now. And plus there's supply chain disruptions. So even if they did get get anything out of the ground like gold or silver, how are they going to get it to places? You know what I mean? So now they're, like I said, they're using pretty much chartered flights as well to bring their gold and silver to other places. So like maybe they're holding on to gold and silver. They probably are hoarding it. And I think they understand, if you're in the gold and silver mining business, you understand currencies. And if you understand currencies, you kind of understand what the global deleveraging is, what global deleveraging is. And you're understanding like that the US dollar could really strengthen. So I'm sure they're hedged as well. And, they could do really well in the future, especially when this leveraging kind of takes a breather. I think you're going to see gold and silver go crazy, and then, or at the same time, gold and silver miners will skyrocket. Like, they're going to go up so much because they're leveraged. You won't believe it. But for me, I'd rather, the risk reward ratio is more in favor of crypto, because there's a less liquid market. You have a finite amount of Bitcoin out there, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash,
limited
whatever.
Supply and hodlers of last resort are some great fundamentals for Bitcoin.
Exactly. And that's I have to choose Bitcoin over that. I think it's smart to hold gold and silver, but ever since I was introduced to Bitcoin, I just that's like, this is it. So yeah, pretty much, like, I've never been so bullish on Bitcoin in my life.
Yeah. If ever there is a use case,
I've been watching
Satoshi is like, this is why I created it.
I remember.
Hello.
I remember seeing Bitcoin at $5. from this guy, Brother John F. on YouTube. And because he was a big silver guy, and I saw this guy, and I'm like, what is this thing? Like, what is he trading? I have no idea. Is it on the stock market? I'm looking on E-Trade, like, hey, I can't find BTC. What the heck is BTC? And yeah, it was really interesting. And he's pretty much the guy that got me into it. So very thankful for the guy. I've never seen the guy's face. He's never showed his face on YouTube or anything.
But it's a great example of him taking the time to learn about this new thing and taking the time to broadcast it and teach other people. And it's inspired you and it's helped you. And now you've helped me, inspire me to learn more about Bitcoin. And now we're giving, versa. Yeah. And so it's like, don't think it's a lost cause to talk to people about this. Even if they seem kind of closed-minded about it, don't give up on them. Just don't annoy them either, but like plant seeds. That's all I'm going to say. Nice. So before I forget, again, talking about this podcast that I referenced earlier in today's live stream and also in yesterday's video. That was way too slow. We listened to this podcast right before this live stream. So I took some notes. It's really interesting. He definitely has a different, this Peter Zeihan, talking a lot about U.S., and China, a lot about China, I was over that part, but some good things that he's talking about, obviously regarding this coronavirus and his point of how every quarter that this coronavirus is existing or people are quarantined, it is accelerating what would have already, taken place, but it's like just pushing the fast forward like times 8 pretty much on the economy globally. But one of the things that he was talking about is like how other countries are going to be feeling the effects of this. And that is in Europe, at least, like the reliance of cross-border trade or like manufacturing really can hinder a lot of the smaller countries, maybe even Portugal. He said something like Portugal is going to disappear or not make it. And then it was edited. And I was like, I don't think that's a little extreme. Not to laugh about that. I would hate that. I love this country. Happen. But really interesting to really think about the logistics of countries and, how they get things done, where they need to get things done, and how that's going to, if you cut off their supply routes, what's going to happen. And so he talked about Germany or Switzerland, the bigger countries, more developed countries being able to survive better because they can make things for themselves. And similarly, like the workforce in the U.S. or really any country that has, he was talking about the U.S., so I'll stick it at that. But he was talking about how it's probably going to shift from a gig economy, think like Uber drivers or pretty much just like working for yourself kind of thing, to more moving into manufacturing. So when he said that, I automatically thought of, the spike up in like craft beers or people who make jewelry or like, you're making your own food or something. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects like relationships and people's emotional states, moving from this really like kind of individualistic way of life and segregated way of life to like, everyone has to work together to make something because they can't source it from outside the country anymore. So you're going to be a lot more self-reliant. Maybe that'll help with people in depression, because I think a lot of depression happens because people are bored. They're not feeling very fulfilled in their life, and they don't know why. So who knows what that's going to do. But he also was talking about the age of populations of different countries, how that's an indicator of the future health of the economy of that country. The younger the country, the better. He was asked about some of his optimism looking forward, and he said vaccines. And
well, let me jump in here with the vaccines.
Oh, okay.
So this is what Bill Gates has just said. Okay.
Like when?
I don't have
Wednesday.
An exact date,
Okay.
but okay. So eventually what we'll have is certificates of who's a recovered person and who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world without their certificate. So that's really scary. I mean, out of everything, okay, you can, hide your money. You can, you can protect your wealth. You can protect your health as much as possible. But when you don't have control over your own body, or like what people are forcing to put in your body, that's when you lose all sovereignty. You don't like, this is really important. Yeah. This is almost bigger than the financial crisis, in my opinion. This is actually what scares me the most, because we can go ahead and protect ourselves fine through a financial crisis. It's going to be tough. Yeah. But gold, silver, Bitcoin, gold, yeah, that's that. But, and you can take care of your health, you can eat non-processed foods and all that stuff. But once you start getting forced vaccinations,
especially vaccinations that he was saying are promising, because they're going to be produced, their timeline is shortened by, like, they're reaching milestones, whatever, 2 to 3 months sooner than they thought. But then he said in the same breath, it's untested, and so that to me means like unknown outcomes. And who wants that forced into their body and their bloodstream? You have no idea what's going to happen to. Like, I would, if it was, very well tested and very, no negative outcomes.
I'm not going to stick
no adverse reactions or side effects.
No.
For a flu.
Yeah.
Or virus, whatever.
It's a virus. So, yeah, that's it. So
not worth it.
No. Not for me, but yeah. We are just giving you a heads up of what people are thinking is going to happen down the line.
But it was a really interesting podcast. For those of you who want to check it out, I'll put a link again here in the.
He says that globalism is going to be done with. End.
I think that's kind of clickbaity.
I don't think so. I don't think it's ending anytime soon, especially because you have all countries in the world desperate for U.S. dollars. That just shows that if the U.S. decided to flip the switch and go, hey, we're going to have a digital dollar, the whole world would be happy about it, I think, or a lot of countries would be. So that's really dangerous as well. You don't want the U.S. to have full control over the money supply or the currency supply in the world. There's a lot of unforeseen consequences, and I think that we would be walking into a very dark road if we did that. And so I'm telling you this right now because that's a fear of mine, that they would actually go ahead and do that. I don't know what that would actually mean for Bitcoin. I think I don't know if they would try to make it illegal again, even though they can't ever make it illegal because it's open source and permissionless and borderless. So, which is, thank God that's the case. But I don't know what would happen if they ended up doing that. So hopefully that countries decide, okay, we're going to give a digital currency for each and every country or whatever. That's a much more hopeful situation than just having the U.S. be in full control again, because it's the petrodollar all over again, but digitalized. And oh my gosh, the amount of bloodshed that's going to cause. So anyways, on a lighter note,
that's it. That's all we have for you today. Thank you to everyone who participated in the live chat. Love seeing your guys' comments, saying hi from all over the world. Saw people from Denmark, Belgium, Italy, recently Italy. Hello, Borislav. From the Philippines, from all over the place. From Florida, I believe. Hi, everyone. Definitely enjoy having you guys all here. And as long as you guys keep hitting the like button and giving us the positive feedback, we're going to continue these live streams to keep you guys all updated. So, in the meantime, if you guys want to check out that live free class for storing your cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency wallets, go ahead and check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/cryptotips. So, in Estonia, hey, Austria, Vegas, Germany.
This person says anti-vax is a ridiculous mindset, and anybody who thinks there's a chip in a vaccine doesn't understand technology. Well, I mean,
I don't think there's a chip in it. I just think there's a lot of unknown chemicals you're putting in your body and viruses.
But you don't understand what governments will do through this. So if they do want to put a chip in you, they will. And if they force it on you, then you have no choice. So this is why I bring things like this up, because this is a time when governments will go crazy because people are fearful. It's like during 9/11, nobody thought that the Fourth Amendment, which is unreasonable searches and seizures, would be eliminated completely, along with Homeland Security and the NSA being birthed. So shortly after that. So yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happens when people are not paying attention, when people are fearful. And I mean, yeah, so we need to be like, we need to be paying attention to this stuff. Like, call me a fearmonger, but hey, we are living proof of like what being aware does, you know? So we're out of debt, you know, we were able to teach people to do the same thing and to, you know, be able to sleep at night, not wondering, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Because the more knowledge you have, sometimes it's stressful, but you know, I think in the long run, it'll really help you out. So
yeah, and it's that mindset of don't trust, verify. So you know, verify by what the actions are being taken thus far, and they're not exactly being passive. So anyway, not to get into that.
Yeah.
That thing. So thank you all again for tuning in. We'll be back again soon. Again, I'll be giving you guys notifications on the community tab here. Make sure you are subscribed with the bell notification enabled so you can get notified when we go live so you can watch.
Yes. And make sure you are subscribed or the bell notification, because a lot of people are telling us that the bell notification is being taken off for some reason.
Yeah.
So it's really
YouTube
interesting.
YouTube is testing you.
I guess. But anyway. Whatever.
So thanks again. We'll be seeing you guys again soon.
Talk to you soon.
Stay happy and stay healthy. That's it.
Exactly.
Bye.